Hello and welcome to my channel, Bevvy with Beth. I'm Beth, and in case you didn't know, on this channel I talk all about polycystic ovarian syndrome, the symptoms, how to cope with them, and how my personal journey with PCOS is going. So if that sounds like something that you'd be interested in, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below to catch my videos every single week. And today we're going to be talking about gut health. Today, could I do a video about gut health and not be drinking kombucha? I don't know. I don't think there is any other drink I could be drinking, but this is actually my favorite. I genuinely love this stuff. Not sponsored, but it's the raspberry flavor because I'm obsessed with raspberries, and it isn't like drinking lemonade. I was trying to convince my friend to try it the other day. It isn't the same, but if you don't drink fizzy drinks, if you come off the lemonade and the Diet Pepsis and you just stop all of that and just have water and different flavors of water and sometimes hot water and sometimes frozen water, eventually you just want something else. And for me, kombucha was the great way of getting something that tastes different than water, that is completely naturally sugar-free, but also supports your gut health. So that is my drink at the moment to replace my fizzies, which is good. But if you do start using it, don't drink too much of it all in one go, because it will not end well. So definitely stick to just one glass a day, maybe not even every day to start with, because it will be bad. But I'd highly recommend using it as a replacement for any kind of fizzy drinks that you're drinking at the moment. But it works perfectly with this video because we're going to be talking about gut health. And before we get into it, there are two things I need to say. The first one is a reminder that I'm not a professional. I am not qualified to tell you what you should be doing in order to improve your gut health. I am simply going to relay some information that I have learned on my gut health journey and let you know how that went for me, hopefully to inspire you to do your own research. The second thing is, a lot of this information, although coming from my personal experience, has also come from one person in particular called Jade, who I follow on Instagram. Her Instagram will be linked down below, and she has a great 7-day guide to gut health that you can receive via email if you go and visit her on her Instagram. I highly recommend doing that if you've been struggling with gut health. Now, I did do a video quite a while ago now, about my leaky gut syndrome. And although it isn't directly related or necessarily a common symptom with PCOS, gut issues, things like leaky gut, IBS, and all the other kind of things that a lot of people suffer with, definitely does seem to crop up a lot more with us with PCOS. And I think it just comes down to our whole system being very unbalanced. And one of the first things that I was going to recommend anyway in supporting gut health is to reduce refined sugars. And as we know, with PCOS, we very often have insulin resistance, which means we can't handle sugars correctly, which means it's going to be damaging our gut a lot more. So cutting out refined sugars was obviously one of the first things that I did on my PCOS journey. And I can definitely say that that helped my gut health journey as well. I noticed a lot less discomfort, a lot less bloating, and just general rejection of digestion that I was getting once I'd cut out those refined sugars. And another point that Jade makes, which I'm not the best ambassador for, is cutting down caffeine. So it comes back again to cortisol, which I've talked about a lot on this channel because it's a big instigator of a lot of the problems that we have with PCOS that persist even after we start our health journey. Along with that, obviously, comes a lot of depression and anxiety. And so caffeine does increase cortisol levels. So if you are currently drinking a lot of coffee or black tea, and you're struggling with anxiety, it could definitely be worth looking at cutting down the amount of caffeine and definitely swapping to something like green tea, or of course the most gut healthy option would be matcha. Because of those higher cortisol levels, it has an impact on our gut. And the gut itself is obviously a mass of microorganisms. I've heard it referred to before as the rainforest of our body, if you can imagine that kind of analogy, that if the balance is off, if our hormonal balance is off in any way, it's going to affect the gut. But also, if we're not supporting our gut, how are we going to be able to get those hormones back in balance? And I think that's why it's really important for PCOS sufferers, as well as everybody else, to seriously consider their gut health. And caffeine, or reducing it or swapping it out for a more gut healthy alternative, such as green tea or matcha tea, is definitely a way to support your gut and help on that hormone balancing process. And then we've got the 3 things that I think most people will have heard at some point. Now that we're all becoming a lot more aware of gut health and how important it is, and the impact that everything that we do, really down to what we eat, to how we eat it, to when we eat it, is all having an impact on our gut health. So the 3 things that I don't think I need to dwell much on is chewing your food before you swallow it, making sure your food is fully chewed. You also want to keep up your hydration. If our body's dehydrated, nothing's going to work correctly. And again, reducing stress comes back to the cortisol levels. So doing things like meditation, doing exercises such as walking, yoga, being out in nature, getting enough sleep, all of those things to help our stress is helping our cortisol, which we've already discussed is an important part of balancing hormones. So the next thing, which is something that I did that I wanted to share with you, a bit more kind of my personal experience, and that was adding probiotics to your diet. There are a couple of ways that you can do this, of course. As with anything, we can get this from our diet naturally, like sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha. They are things that we can consume to add probiotics to our diet to thus feed our good bacteria in our gut. But of course, you can also supplement. So for me, I've been trying to make homemade sauerkraut. I can't eat kimchi because of the spices, and I do already drink kombucha, but kombucha is a heck of a lot more expensive than lemonade, so I can't afford to have a glass of that every single day, which means the rest of the time I need to be supplementing that. So some of the points that Jade makes about making sure that you're getting a good probiotic is actually to make sure that you're not getting low quality, that it's not too bulked out. You're looking at where it's come from, checking the ingredients, going to a proper health food store rather than picking something up. She also talks about getting a multi-strain. She mentions about actually not sticking to simply one brand, that by changing out the brands every now and again, it helps to make sure that you're getting a wide variety of the good bacteria that we need in our gut. And then also finding the right dose. She recommends starting at about 10 to 15 billion and then working your way up to 50 billion rather than jumping straight into that 50 billion. I suspect, again, it would be a bit like drinking kombucha like 3 times a day for a week when you haven't had any. It's going to be too much. You can't replace the good bacteria all at once. It's an ecosystem, so you want to get it back into balance. So gradually introducing those things is going to be really important. I myself have found that I now take a probiotic about every other day unless I'm drinking kombucha, and I'm still trying to perfect my sauerkraut recipe. I've noticed a reduction in intolerance for things, that because my gut isn't as inflamed, I can now eat a little bit of dairy. And although I wouldn't do that regularly because I definitely still feel unwell, there's not that volatility to it. I don't have a major reaction, and I do put that down to just my gut being more healthy and definitely being able to process things a lot better. Although probiotics are not the only thing that I have done in order to support my gut health, I did notice that I went kind of to the next level. I felt much healthier, and there are a lot of other things such as energy level increase, my head was a lot clearer, my sleep was a lot better. All of the things that you want to improve were improved by supporting my gut health in a better way. I do feel like I managed that not just by taking supplements, but also by having a healthier diet in general, doing things like lowering my fiber, increasing my prebiotics as well, some of the foods that I was choosing to eat. And another benefit, of course, of having it in your diet rather than just taking a supplement is that they come with other benefits. Because it's a food, it's not just a probiotic as you would take in a supplement. It's got all of the other food benefits, which again, if you're getting the right vitamins and minerals for your body, then your body's going to work better, so your gut will work better. And it's getting that balance between supporting your gut and supporting your body, so that both of those things can work together rather than just focusing on one problem, bringing the two together. So I highly recommend, like I said, checking Jade out to get some more information and a much more qualified version of the data to support your gut health. And I'd love to know about your gut health journeys. Pop a link down below if you're having any issues, or if you've tried something that's worked for you to make your gut better, or if there's a particular piece of information I've shared that you haven't heard before. Let me know in the comments section down below. I'd love to know what your thoughts are. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.